Hello everyone! Welcome to the first part of Why Did You Ask Me to Join Your Relationship Challenge? Or, in short, Why Date Me Challenge for Polyships. Starting with SemiShiraKawaGata because why not? Let's get into it, shall we? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going, thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. Hello, could everyone come online, please? Oh hi, I don't think we know each other yet. Yeah, apologies. I'm not really active in the chat. Hey Kuguri, how are you doing? Everything okay with your recovery? It's slow. I still can't walk, but thank you for asking. What happened? We had an unfortunate trip, but that's not the point. I want to try something. Okay, spill it. I've seen some challenges were going on recently, so I wanted to see if someone would join me in this. With everything going on, it got me wondering. So I want to ask Yuki and So why they asked me to join them when they seem perfectly happy, just the two of them. Oh Kugure. I know. I'm sorry, it's just... I can't stop thinking about it. But I want to have some backup in case it goes wrong somehow. Okay, sounds reasonable. To be fair, I thought about it too before. Yeah. Okay, let me get Aki on it too. Why? Well, we joined two couples back then, so it would be a bit strange if I asked alone. Oh, alright. Go ahead then. I'm kinda curious what Shige and Kentaro will say though. We never really talked about it. Thank you for joining me. Good luck. Good luck, everyone.
Just tell them. You know them much better than I, and even I can tell you it's going to be fine.
Taichi sighed, slowly starting to regret his life choices. Only a minute or so after he agreed to participate in the challenge, his phone vibrated again with a call this time, from Tendo of all people. A person he really didn't want to talk right now exactly for this reason. It's not that easy.
It is that easy. Come on, Taichi, or I'll return to Japan and personally push you into their arms.
Don't you usually create challenges for that?
Fine, I challenge you to tell them.
Despair clenched Taichi's chest in its grasp. It was easy for Tendo to say that, but the reality was never so simple. Not in this case. I knew it was a bad idea to tell Ushijima-san. He can't keep a secret for what it's worth. Well, to be fair, he didn't tell me anything. I just happened to look at his phone when you talked about it. But come on, what's so horrible that could happen? You're with them for a reason, right? You love them, and they love you. I mean, Shirabu is still his feisty self, but he's your boyfriend too. Why would they be anything but supportive? It's more difficult than that.
Oh, my sweet boy. Eventually you will have to tell them. Or do you think they won't wonder where you disappear every week?
But...
Taichi, I'm serious. Just tell them. You'll see. You'll thank me later.
With a deep sigh leaving his mouth, Taichi felt himself deflating. Deep down, he knew Tendo was right, but the little voice in his head telling him the opposite just didn't want to shut up. However, judging by Hayato's reaction last time he asked for a hug, sooner or later he would start to worry his boyfriend. He didn't want that.
Still there?
Yeah. Alright, I'll
I'll tell them. Awesome. The sooner the better, Oh, sorry, I need to go now, but talk to you later, okay? And don't be scared of anything. They love you. With that, the call ended, leaving Taichi torn and inwardly panicking. They love you. Ask them why they wanted me in the relationship. Things can change though.
Where's my welcome hug?
He flinched, torn out of his thoughts when a pair of arms wrapped around him from behind, the short stubble on Hayato's chin scratching the exposed skin on his neck. Don't do this to me. You almost gave me a heart attack. Juggling, Hayato nuzzled deeper into the crook of his neck, almost purring with happiness when Taichi scratched his undercut after a beat of hesitation. Just like a cat.
You didn't respond when I called, and then I find you here looking all down.
He became serious.
Is something troubling you?
The concern in his voice was apparent, making Taichi's heart ache. Rationally, he knew his boyfriends cared for him. He was reminded of the fact every day he spent with them, even though he had been home alone for most of the time given their busy schedules. So why was it so difficult to convince himself to really believe it?
Tai, what's wrong? You look nervous.
I'm sorry, Can we talk?
Hayato paused for a beat, but then nodded and jumped over the back of the couch to settle next to him. His presence and the gentle squeeze of his hand as if suddenly lifting some of the weight from Taichi's shoulders. I'm listening. Is it something bad?
No. Well, I guess it depends on what you'll say.
That doesn't make me feel much better. Come here.
Taichi no less than slumped into Hayato's embrace, subconsciously clinging to his t-shirt while he tried to stay composed. In a way, he was incredibly grateful to fate for bringing Hayato to him right now. He loved Semi and Shirabu the same amount, of course, but there's always been something soft, something soothing about Hayato. If anyone in their group understood, it was him, with everything.
What's the matter, sweetheart? You know you can tell me anything. I'm always going to be on your side. Even if you killed someone.
It's not that...
The soft chuckle by his ear sent most pleasant shivers down his spine. I know, you wouldn't hurt a fly. So what's going on?
I want you to know something.
He pulled away a bit, immediately missing the contact and warmth it brought him, and took a deep breath, forcing himself to hold Hayato's gaze.
I've been going to therapy for some time now.
Short silence settled in the room before Hayato's eyes brightened with understanding. I see. Because of what happened in October? Or with your family stuff?
Mostly the family things. And that thing as well. I thought maybe it could help me sort things out and get better.
He averted his eyes, too scared of what could come next. All the years of hearing the exact same thing, how asking for help was not an option, now materialized in his mind at once, rattling with his core. Just the prospect of hearing it again from the mouths of people he loved terrified him to the depths of his soul. But as always, his worries disappeared in the very next moment with a single of Hayato's warm smiles and an even warmer hug. Okay, that's good.
You don't mind? Of course not. I'm glad you're getting more help. I mean, don't take me wrong, we would do anything in our power to help you deal with all that and the shit your family put you through, but let's be honest, we aren't professionals. He cupped Taichi's cheeks, leaving a kiss on his lips. I'm proud of you, sweetie. You are? Yep. It takes strength and bravery to recognize you need help and ask for it. And you did. I'm proud of you. Taichi could about cry with relief. He relaxed completely into the hug, suddenly filled with much more determination than ever before. He could do this. As long as he had at least one of his boyfriends to lean on, he could overcome it. Thank you. For nothing. Have you told Eita and Kenjiro it? No, there wasn't a good time yet. Okay. Do you want my help or do you want to do it alone? Taichi thought about it, and while he liked the idea of having emotional support, this was something he should do on his own. I'll do it alone. But thank you for the offer. No problem. I'm always here if you change your mind. You could answer me a question, though. With a curious hum, Hayato pulled away a bit and tilted his head, silently encouraging Taichi to go ahead. Why did you want me to join the relationship? The flat fell silent again, reminding Taichi of the stunned silence 5 years ago when, just before the third years graduated, the three sat him down and asked him to be their boyfriend. It now felt like ages ago, and yet as if it was just a week since he agreed, confused but happy beyond measure for the chance to spend time with people he loved more than anything, and who in turn loved him. However, the question of why never really left his mind. Before he could think back too much, Hayato shrugged and gently combed his fingers through his hair. Because you are the sweetest person I've ever met. I would be stupid to not want to be with you for the rest of my life. This time, tears did enter Taichi's eyes, much to his embarrassment. Yet he didn't hide them like his instinct told him to, knowing Hayato would never judge him for crying. Are you serious? As serious as it can get. I've loved you ever since I watched you in your first official match, and nothing changed till today. He grinned, bringing Taichi's hand to his lips. Maybe just that I'm always finding new things about you to adore. Taichi's cheeks burned, but his heart fluttered like a swarm of butterflies. He was loved. Hayato would never lie to him about that, and that knowledge filled him with a newfound strength. He carried the reassurance he got from Hayato with him until the evening, waiting for their other two boyfriends to come home too. If he counted correctly, the first one to arrive should be Shirabu, for which he was glad. Well, at least in terms of telling him about his therapy sessions. And yet, when the door opened for the first time, it was Semi who barged in, looking surprisingly energetic for someone who spent the whole day with paperwork. Guess what? We just got a new tour contract. Hayato scoffed at him, but it was apparent from his eyes just how excited the news made him. What's the point of telling us to guess when you tell us before we even get a chance to answer? He means congratulations. Semi beamed, his smile brightening the whole room like the sun itself, and Taichi almost melted when a kiss landed on his lips. Thanks, darling. At least someone can appreciate my hard work. Hayato stuck his tongue out on him, which Semi promptly returned, and Taichi was once again reminded why Shirabu was the only voice of reason in their household. Perhaps it was better that way. Though he would lie if he said he didn't find the more childish side of his boyfriends quite charming. Especially in Semi, since he didn't know the musician had one until he graduated. He then paused, the implications of the news dawning on him at once. Does that mean you'll go abroad again?
Well, I should hope so, if it's all expenses covered. We'll see what we can negotiate.
Taichi tried his hardest to not let his shoulders visibly slump. He wished Semi the success his band had, of course he did. But the last time they went on a tour was lonely. Sure, Semi called and texted occasionally, but since he was mostly focused on the music, crowds and sleeping, they usually exchanged only a few words. Stop. You're supposed to be supportive and not drag him down because you are clingy. Fortunately, it didn't seem like Semi noticed his blues, as he was fully indulged in a playful banter with Hayato.
Alright, that's it. I don't have to be here to listen to you show off.
He got up, letting out an offended huff before he marched towards the bathroom with an announcement he was going to take a shower to wash off the insult, leaving Taichi alone with Semi. No doubt it was his plan all along. With a quiet chuckle, Semi shook his head and plopped down on the couch next to Taichi, opening his arms in a silent invitation, which Taichi gladly accepted.
Either way, considering how much stuff is needed to be done, if we do travel out of Japan, it's going to be next year at earliest. So no need to worry for now,
Taichi covered. So much for Semi not noticing. I'm sorry.
Don't be, I get it. I don't like being away from you all for so long either. But knowing you are waiting for me at home is great fuel for me, you know? Makes everything worth it.
Taichi could just nod, unsure what to say to that. And so he instead opted for enjoying Semi's presence while he still could, until he got reminded of the things he had to say. But what to begin with?
Is something going on?
It shouldn't have been a surprise Semi could read in him like in a note sheet, yet it still made Taichi's heart beat faster in a starting panic. I wanted you to know that I've been going to therapy for a while now. He squeezed his eyes shut, subconsciously curling more into a ball as he waited for a reaction. He didn't have to wait for long before the hand calloused by years of playing volleyball and guitar cupped his cheek and lifted his chin to meet Semi's eyes.
That's good, I'm glad.
I hope it's going to help you. Is it that bad?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But I can see how much you're hurting sometimes, and it breaks my heart. Obviously, it's not going to be easy, but I honestly wish you could live your life to the fullest, without all the nasty things your mind tells you.
He gave him one of his sweet, knee-weakening smiles before kissing his forehead.
We are here for you, okay? No matter what you need, we'll help you along the way.
I know. Thank you.
No need. That's what we are here for after all. You deserve kindness. You deserve help, and I'm glad you asked for it.
Taichi let out a relieved sigh, gladly showing away the bad scenarios his mind tried to push on him.
Of course, Semi would say that and not be upset or mock him. This was Semi, the kindest senpai he had ever had.
Beside Hayato, of course. Though there was still the challenge. Can I ask you something?
Only if you let me snuggle you tonight when we watch that awful movie Hayato picked out.
That's not a trait. I would let you do that either way.
Semi grinned, apparently pleased with that answer. I just like to make sure. What's the question?
Why did you want me to join your relationship?
Semi's playful demeanor disappeared like steam above a pot, and Taichi cringed inwardly. Did we say something that made you feel insecure again? Or did?
No, I'm curious. You seemed happy, just the three of you, but you still asked me to join. Why?
Sighing, Semi pulled him under his chin, his fingers perhaps instinctively playing with his hair. We asked you before we fell for you. Sure, we could continue on, just the three of us, but we all knew something was missing. That something being you. He smiled, leaving a kiss on the crown of Taichi's head. Now it's perfect. From my perspective, all I needed to know was that I loved you and wanted to be with you. And before you ask, no, nothing changed since then. Taichi clapped his mouth shut. He really shouldn't be surprised Semi knew what he was about to ask. He thought about the words over and over again, wondering whether the missing part Semi talked about was similar to the emptiness he felt before he entered the relationship. Possibly.
I'm glad you asked back then.
Judging by the warm gust of air in his hair, Semi smiled at that. Me too. We would miss on so much great stuff if we didn't.
And saved yourself a lot of worries and stress.
He shook his head in a desperate attempt to chase the thought away and hid deeper into Semi's arms, seeking the comfort his presence always brought. He didn't want to think about that now. Taichi was already half asleep on Semi's lap when Shirabu finally arrived home, his face mirroring the stress and exhaustion right before the last blow-up he had a few days ago. To his credit, he stayed calm this time, only announcing he's going straight to bed after he got his welcome kisses. And while Taichi didn't want to drag the challenge and all on for too long, he couldn't in his best conscience keep Shirabu from the much-needed rest. And so he stayed silent, and soon followed suit, a small smile curling his lips when Shirabu mumbled something under his breath and pulled him into his arms, still deep asleep, as if Taichi was one of his beloved plushies. Must be nice to be his plushie. Among the few things he loves, there may be on top of the list. He paused at that thought. It wasn't entirely right. Even though the doctor could seem somewhat cold in terms of affection sometimes, there was no doubt in Taichi's mind that his favorite person was Semi. Hayato was probably second. And him, who knew if he made the top 10? It was an ugly thought given how much care Shirabu showed him on a daily basis, taking care of his fragile health and diligently monitoring his hemophilia. But those were more about him being a doctor, body and soul, than his boyfriend. He never really thought about it again, or rather avoided thinking about it. But he was sure Shirabu looked the least excited about the new arrangement back then, despite what Semi said about all of them falling in love. And the memory scared him.
Stop thinking so much, it's distracting.
He looked down, finding Shirabu's eyes still closed and his cheeks crunched against his shoulder,
but apparently he was awake enough to gently berate him. Sorry. I can go sleep next door if I'm bothering you. The grip around him tightened. Don't you dare. He then turned his head, his eyes sparkling in the little light coming in through the blinds. What's wrong? Nothing. You wouldn't be overthinking if it wasn't. What is it? Taichi really didn't want to keep Shirabu from sleeping with his questions, but he knew him long enough to know he wasn't going to let it go until he got the answer. And so he sighed quietly, collecting his remaining courage before he spoke up. I wanted to tell you that I'm going to therapy now. To help me deal with family stuff and what happened in October. I just wasn't sure how you would take it. Shirabu hummed and rested his cheek against Taichi's chest, his fingers tracing patterns over his side. I'm glad to hear that. It's nothing to be ashamed of, okay? That's what therapists are here for, after all. I know, it's just... Your father taught you it's a weakness to seek help with mental stuff, right? The memory of his father's voice screaming the exact same sentence at him anytime he dared to suggest he might need a therapist froze Taichi for a beat, his breath hitching in his throat. How do you know? Shirabu shrugged. He seems like the type to spew this kind of shit around. I hate those people. You also don't try to fix a broken spine by manning up. You go to a doctor. It's the same with mental health. Or it should be. No wonder he hurt you so much. Taichi let out a tense sigh, glad his boyfriends understood his predicament. He should have known better already. Thank you. No need. I'm glad you're getting help. Though that wasn't the only thing you thought about, was it? Taichi's throat tightened. The caramel eyes turned to him once again, studying him as if he was some bacteria under a microscope. There was no escape, since it seemed he was an open book for everyone in their household. Come on, like a plaster, it has to go quickly. Taichi, I was wondering, why did you want me to join your relationship back then? Shirabu blinked a few times as if he couldn't comprehend the question at first, and then reached up to cup Taichi's cheek. What brought that up? I just remembered since the anniversary is getting close. Eita said you all fell for me, but you didn't seem too excited about it back then. A deep sigh escaped Shirabu's mouth. I hoped you didn't notice that. Taichi's heart sank. I see. Wait, no, I didn't mean that I wasn't happy you said yes. I was, I swear. I was in love with you since we started our second year. I just didn't know how to show it back then. And that day, I was thinking about 20 different things and just forgot to look happy too. He propped himself up on his hands, his eyes sincere as ever. I would never lead you on. I know I have trouble showing it sometimes, but I love you. I really do. I'm sorry if I made you doubt that. He lowered himself on Taichi's chest again, resuming the hug. But to answer your question, I wanted you to join because I knew you balance us really well. I mean, among other things, of course. You were our missing piece, and I'm happy we found you. Taichi bit his tongue, trying his hardest to blink away the pressure building behind his eyes, despite hearing a similar thing the second time that day already. Or maybe because of that. He would have never described himself as a missing piece. He wasn't special in any way. And yet, the 3 dearest people in his life apparently thought he was, enough to invite him into their lives. He didn't realize he didn't manage to stop his tears until Shirabu wiped them gently away. The touch, albeit a bit cold, solidifying the effect the words had on him. This was what being home felt like.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. So these were just supposed to be 2 videos at first, but in order to save some time I decided to put it together because why not? Hey, it fit, kinda, and Taichi going to therapy is going to be important for the future of SemiShiraKawaGata household. Either way, as you probably noticed from the chat, which by the way was the most gentle chat I've ever written, like the initiation chat. Like it's just the gentle babies we have in the Polyships, so yeah. They are so adorable, I love them. Anyway, I hope you forgive me for the fact that I'm focusing this challenge on the people who are usually in focus, but hey, this challenge was supposed to be the first 4 Polyships I should have done, and I didn't, so I'm doing it now. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.